Hey, welcome back to the Black and Gold Standard Podcast. And today we want to talk about the matchups between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Los Angeles Chargers. I was about to say San Diego. To me, they still San Diego, but with that said, we're gonna kind of break down the matchups. Actually, this I mean, from from the beginning, the game kind of seemed like a layup game. But the Chargers are actually a very interesting team. Um, but we'll get into we'll get into what's going on, and I just give my opinion on it. And one of the things you have to really be careful, and as Steeler fans, we all are guilty of doing this and feeling this way is kind of taking what happened the week before, and sometimes we take it, we're too hard, and then sometimes we're too easy on them, and we kind of overlook things, and it's just natural. A lot of times when a win will make you overlook some issues and problems, and that's all. That's all. That's just not Steeler Nation. That's all fans. I don't care if you the New York Jet fan or I don't know, a Kent State Golden Flash fan. It's easy to kind of look over some problems when your team gets a W. So with that said, let's get right into it and kind of see what's going on here. So Pittsburgh Steelers are 5-3. San Diego is 6-3. So they haven't had their bye yet. I'm not really sure when their bye is coming up. This is out in California, where for the most part the Steelers really have never done well, but the last few times they've been out in California, they've did okay. So let's get right to it. So with the quarterback position, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers is being Aaron Rodgers. He's last week I thought he was consistent. Not really a big game from him, but just with the offense that the Steelers run, he kind of took care of business. Where on the other side you have an up and coming um, quarterback in Justin Herbert, very athletic, can run. I mean, he's not in the Lamar Jackson class of taking off and running, but he can hurt you. I remember a few years ago, I think he rushed for over 100 yards against the Steelers. So you got to keep contained with him, especially now with their situation with their offensive line. He's probably going to be on the run a lot, so he can hurt you definitely with his arm and with his legs. Um, I think he's really got to the point that he's a quarterback that really definitely elevates his receivers. He's not really blessed with some big time receivers, but with his arm strength and um, knowledge of the offense that he's running now, and his way of keeping plays alive with his legs, he has elevated his receiver core that those guys are very productive for him. So with that said, from the quarterback's standpoint, I'm giving that upper hand to the Chargers. Um, if you had your choice right now, you're taking Justin Herbert over Aaron Rodgers, and that's more just he's younger, he's more athletic. So that's not a big surprise. As far as the run game, to me, the Steelers have really never gotten the run game going per se. I mean, Warren has had a couple of good games, but nothing. Just the run game has not been um, consistent. Oh man, got a good friend there. How you doing? We gotta actually. I have to talk to you because um, we got a lot to talk about with our teams, and we'll be meeting each other pretty soon. I don't really know when the Steelers and the Ravens. It's probably a few more weeks, but Yolanda, she's real knowledgeable about her Ravens. She love her Ravens, and actually, it was funny. Um, and we'll talk about it. I seen her crash out a few weeks ago. I forgot what it was about. I think it was a trade. It was a trade that the Ravens made, and she really she crashed out on them. But with that said, anyway, with the running game, we Steelers just haven't been consistent. They haven't been consistent in the running game. Where with the Chargers, um, this is what this team wants to do. They want to run the ball, but unfortunately, they top they top two running backs are out. Najee Harris and Hampton. So right now they got Vardell, but then he's actually a decent running back, especially to be your third running back. But they got the offensive line problems. But this is something that the Chargers will try to do. This is something that Harbaugh, I mean, he wants to run the ball. I mean that's his main focus is running the ball, and then go on play action off of that. But um, just too many injuries on the offensive line. So we're gonna get that to the Steelers. I think with Warren and Gain, excuse me. Yeah, so with Jalen Warren, he's better. And actually, the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line, which is really not nothing to write home about, might be a little better than the Chargers line right now. Because like I said, the Chargers have been devastated with injuries, especially when you lose your two tackles, and these are just not guys; these are stud guys that they lost. It just puts a lot of pressure on those guys. Um, so with that said, I think the edge to the Steelers on that. The wide receivers again, um, Pittsburgh is they're basically a one man gang right now. They're one man gang. Um, really not pushing the ball down the field to Metcalf, and this is something that I didn't really pay attention to, and I guess probably by him being on the West Coast, didn't watch a lot of Seahawk games, and you would just catch a lot of highlights. Um, I never knew that Metcalf got some bad hands. His hands are not that. He's not the greatest catching the ball. I see. Um, it's just it's kind of weird, but like I say, I never really noticed it, never paid no mind to it. But he has some iffy hands because there's a lot of balls that I think, especially at his size and his physicality, it's a lot of balls that I think he double catch and bobble up in the air that he needs to be snatching those balls. But with that said, I'm kind of going with the Chargers wide receiver core just for the fact that um they got three guys with Keaton Allen, Johnson, McConley. Though when you put those three guys together, I mean they're solid. They're very solid. And like I say, you got a quarterback that's going to find him. He can keep plays alive with his legs, and and he's gonna give the Steelers problems, I think. He's a type receiver that can give him problems. Keenan Allen, like I say, he's gonna work the slot. He's a guy that catches a ton of balls. He was actually a guy that some Steeler fans wanted to sign him, during free agency. I really didn't want him just for the fact of he was staying hurt a lot, but also he's a slot receiver to me. He's not really an outside guy. He's a slot receiver, and that's not what the Steelers really needed. But he's a guy, he just an old veteran, crafty veteran. He know how to get open. He's gonna catch a lot of balls. Um, and he's been doing a great job, back in San Diego. And Johnson, he's one of the guys you would say he has skillet hands. It seems like he's trying to catch the ball with two skillets on his hands. So he's definitely 50-50. But he has big time speed and he can get past you. And like I say, he has a quarterback that can get the ball out there, and sometimes he will catch it. So with that said, I'm giving the Chargers the edge on the receiver position. Tight ends, that's Pittsburgh all day. And just the fact that you got three of them, even though Smith is struggling right now, he's really struggling catching the ball. You still got Freiermuth. It seemed like he hadn't found his way a little bit. Then you got the big guy, Darnell Washington. The problem with him is he just had to, they asked him to block a lot, but he actually got into the passing game a little bit more last week. Rodgers seems to love him. A big target, can't miss him. And Steelers just use their tight ends more. I mean, they're a tight end base offense right now, which I really don't care too much about, but it is what it is. So I'm gonna give that edge to the Steelers. The offensive line, like we kind of talked about the Chargers. I think healthy, the Chargers definitely got the offensive has a better offensive line. Greg Roman, he want to run the ball. Going back to his Baltimore days. The Steelers offensive line is really Steelers offensive line from the outside. It can look kind of good, especially when you look at some of the stats sometimes that they didn't give up sacks and this and that. But when you really break down the film and watch these guys, it's still a lot of improvement that's needed. A lot of improvement that's needed. To me, Broderick Jones is really not. Is he playing better? Yes, he's playing better, but he's still not at a level that you would want a guy that you took, I don't know, top 15 in the draft, and this is the guy that you're gonna have to going into next year. Do you even want to pay this guy or not? So, the and last week was kind of an embarrassment as far as trying to run the ball. I mean, the Steelers were terrible. They were terrible running the ball. So with that said, I'm still gonna get an edge offensive line to the Steelers. That could be me being a homer. I don't know, but I just think the injuries that the Chargers have just kind of really decimated them a little more. And Pittsburgh offensive line, they come in fairly healthy, so I'm gonna give that edge to the Steelers. We move over to the defensive side. The edges right now, I'm definitely gonna get that edge to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Chargers, you got Camille Mack that's back. But I think with Highsmith, Watt, and Herbert, that is definitely an edge, and I'm expecting these guys, especially with the injuries to the Chargers line, and also with both of your starting tackles. And like I said, these are not just tackles that they're losing. These are stud guys. These are like basically one guy that's definitely going to be an all pro and and then Slater, the other guy, is definitely probably a Pro Bowler. So I mean, you looking at that's a major loss there. So I'm thinking Watt and Highsmith and Herbert can take advantage of that. And with that said, I'm gonna give that edge to the Steelers. Defensive tackles, same thing here. San Diego really, when you look at their defense is really not their strong suit of their team. I mean, they're really more that offense is really carrying that team more than the defense is. But they're feisty, and they if you look at their rankings, they're not really that bad. Defensive tackles. I think the Chargers is just one of those teams that don't really have a lot of big names. Bosa's gone now, so they don't really have a lot of big names. They just got a lot of solid guys. With the Steelers, you got Cam, you got Benton. So we kind of get on Benton a lot. I just really think the Steelers are playing him in the wrong position. But as you seen, when they kind of switched that 4-3 and moved him out a little bit and not really had him as a true nose, it made a big difference. So I'm gonna get that advantage to the Steelers. Linebackers, same thing. I'm taking even though on San Diego side, Hentley is very active, very athletic, make a lot of tackles, and he gets into the passing game. I just as a group, I like what the Steelers have, especially in Queen and Wilson. If Wilson can keep growing off the game that he had last week, he's going to be special because the kid can run. I mean, he's probably, I wouldn't doubt if he's not one of the top 5 fastest linebackers in the league right now. I mean, he can really move. He can cover anybody. It's just a matter of staying consistent with it. But the problem with Wilson is just the run game. He has to got to get bigger, got to get stronger, got to get more confident, and you got to be able to just take on these backs a little bit more and not so much a jumping on the back of guys and missing a lot of tackles. But even with that said, I'm giving advantage to the Steelers on that. The corners, hey, same thing. When you look at the Chargers corners, nothing special. The Steelers, it's not like they corners are lighting the world on fire, but you're gonna take Ramsey, Porter. I don't know. Well, Slay, I don't know. I think Slay is pretty much glue factory to me. Echols, so I think from the safety position, the cornerback position, I'm giving that advantage to the Steelers. And the safeties, again, you look at the Chargers. I mean, you got James, and James is a big time player. They very versatile. They move him around. He'll get down in the box and do his thing. The Steelers, I'm gonna give the advantage to the Steelers just for the fact that they got 2 of them, and I think Jalen Ramsey is really going to, if he builds off of what he did last week, I think he's really going to elevate his career. The second half of his career, you'd say, at the safety position, because when you put him at safety, the cover skills are there. The he's flying and delivering big hits. Definitely, doing his thing there. So I'm gonna get that advantage to the Steelers. So when you look at it across the board, Pittsburgh Steelers defense is much better than LA. But it's just which Steelers defense is going to show up, because they can have a defense that's been showing up for a couple of their last few games that can definitely be an embarrassment. So with that said, it's kind of tricky there. Special teams. For one thing, I mean, hey, you got the Boz. Boz is the best kicker in the league, but also the Steelers coverage teams have really stepped up. They've really stepped up, and and to me, that is one of the things that I think the Steelers win a lot of games, because if your special teams are giving you points, putting in scoring as many points as this, because I would almost say the Steelers probably got the highest special teams scoring, because Boz is he's kicking, I don't know, about 3 field goals a game. It's something that I really wouldn't be so proud of, because you don't want to be always relying on your kicker, but when you have a kicker that you can rely on, that's huge. That's huge, and that will win you 2 to 3 games right there. The Steelers put in a lot of times on special teams. I'm quite sure they put in more time on special teams than a lot of teams. Because to me, I think the Steelers, their last out of their 53, probably those last 5 spots or so, those spots are dedicated to special teams. A lot of teams don't really do that, but the Steelers, they definitely do that, and it shows. So with that said, I'm giving that check to the Steelers. When it comes to coaching, you just, again, the Steelers are so up and down. Like I thought Arthur Smith really didn't have a good week last week. You got to hands off to the defense. I mean, you did something different. You came out with a new scheme, and it worked for you. So that was hats off to Mike Tomlin and Mr. Austin. But can they do it again? Can they come up with more stuff? Or will they kind of go back to, hey, the status is, the standard is the standard, I guess you could say. You put on film what you did last week, so you got to do more things, or will the Steelers go back to being vanilla? It's really hard to say. I'm gonna say this, when you really look at that game last week against the Colts, and as much as a Steeler fan, we got excited because it was a big win. It definitely was a big win. I'm not gonna take that away from them. It was a game that I really didn't have them winning, and they kicked their butt. But when you look at the stats, you would think there's no way they won that game, and it basically turned out it was the turnovers. I don't really care what NFL team you are. You turn the ball over 6 times, and I think the Steelers turned it over once. So you're -5 in the turnover. Um, I'm losing what I want to say. Well, anyway, if you're -5 in turnovers, it's a very good chance that you're going to win that game. I'm quite sure if you look at the stats, it probably is off the chart that if you're +5 in turnovers, I almost guarantee you got an 80% chance of winning that game. And that's what the Steelers did. But you take away those turnovers, could have been a different game because the offense really didn't do much. The Colts did. It wasn't like, I mean, okay, they did stop the run game because the Steelers really concentrated on shutting down their run game. But I mean, they kind of threw the ball all over them. Even though some of the yards you can say they got in I wouldn't even really say garbage time because it wasn't like Steelers were blowing them out. So it wasn't really garbage time. But they kind of was throwing the ball every play. So obviously they was gonna have a lot of yards passing. But it's just I, I don't know. This team is like a roller coaster. They're up and down, up and down. So with that said, I'm giving the coaching to the Chargers. I think I kind of like Harbaugh. I like his style. Like I say, he just dealing with a lot of injuries now. So a lot of the stuff that he really wants to do and concentrate on his running game, he really can't because he's just got a lot of injuries right now. But we'll see. We'll see how this go. So let's get to prediction time. Kind of thought about this, and maybe the Steeler fan in me is coming out, but I got the Steelers winning this game 27-23. I think Aaron Rodgers finds a way to outdo Herbert. This is kind of a coming home game to Aaron Rodgers. He's from California, but I think he's really more from the Northern California. But I think he lives in Southern California somewhere. So this is a coming home for him. I guess he probably will have some family and friends at the game. So this is a game that I know he definitely wants to win. I think he'll find a way to make that happen. I actually think this might be a big DK Metcalf game, actually. We'll see. But I got the Steelers winning this game 27-23. This game could definitely go either way. I just think right now the Chargers are just hurting so bad on the offensive line that I think the Steelers should be able to take advantage of that. And I think Watt and company is going to make it kind of a long day for Mr. Herbert. But we will see. So with that said, that is it. Make sure you like and subscribe. And until then, I will talk to you guys later. Take care. Adios.